Dark Depth Neo-Stoicism Core Tenets. The 7 Pillars of the Abyss, Deepest Version. Pillar 1. Virtue Forged in Shadow. Virtue in Dark Depth Neo-Stoicism is not a soft glow of moral comfort, but a blade repeatedly tempered in the crucible of one's own darkness. Wisdom transcends mere accumulation of knowledge. It is the piercing ability to cut through layers of self-deception while unflinchingly staring at the cruelty one is capable of committing under pressure. Courage is never simple fearlessness, which can be brittle. Instead, it is the deliberate act of advancing forward, even as the abyss whispers reminders of past failures, humiliations, and potential collapse. Justice requires more than abstract fairness. It demands that one extend measured mercy, even to the monstrous, because the practitioner has already felt that same monstrous impulse stirred deep within their own psyche during moments of rage or desperation. Temperance goes far beyond superficial restraint or denial of feeling. It is the iron discipline to fully experience the overwhelming storm of rage, lust, grief, or despair without being consumed, and then to choose the single action that honors inner sovereignty and long-term character. In this philosophy, every virtue must be tested daily against the practitioner's personal shadow, the hidden motives, suppressed impulses, and latent capacities for harm. Only those virtues that survive repeated exposure to this crucible, emerging stronger and more authentic rather than idealized or performative, qualify as genuine. This forging process ensures that virtue is not fragile idealism, but a hardened, reliable instrument for navigating a world that constantly tempts compromise. Through this pillar, the individual transforms potential weakness into enduring strength, refusing to let darkness define them, while refusing to pretend it does not exist. The result is a character that stands resilient, precisely because it has been scarred and strengthened by the very forces it confronts. This forging is relentless, intimate, and deeply personal. The blade of virtue does not emerge pristine from some abstract ideal. It is heated again and again in the fires of one's own capacity for harm, shaped by hammer blows of honest confrontation, and cooled in the recognition that darkness is not an external enemy, but an internal reality that must be acknowledged, engaged, and ultimately integrated. Every strike of the hammer reveals flaws, cracks of self-deception, soft spots of denial, brittle edges of untested conviction. The process is painful because it requires the practitioner to look directly at what most would turn away from. The moments when cruelty felt justified, when mercy seemed weakness, when rage promised relief, when despair invited surrender. Virtue forged in this way carries the marks of its creation. It is not beautiful in a conventional sense. It is functional, weighted, balanced for use in the harshest conditions. Wisdom, as the edge of this blade, cuts deepest into the self. It is not satisfied with accumulated facts or clever theories. It demands the repeated, uncomfortable act of slicing through comforting stories one tells about one's own character. The wise practitioner does not merely know that humans are capable of evil. They have sat with the evidence of their own potential for it, the flash of satisfaction at another's misfortune, the subtle manipulation dressed as helpfulness, the quiet withdrawal when courage was required. This wisdom is piercing because it refuses to look away. It holds the gaze steady even when the reflection is ugly, even when the cruelty stares back wearing the practitioner's own face. Layer after layer of self-deception falls away under this edge, leaving something sharper, cleaner, and more reliable. Wisdom forged in shadow does not promise peace. It promises clarity, the kind that survives pressure because it was born from it. Courage forms the blade's spine, giving it strength to withstand impact without snapping. It is never the absence of fear. Fear is present, loud, insistent, whispering every past humiliation and every future possibility of collapse. The courageous act is to advance anyway, to take the next step while the abyss speaks. This courage is built through repetition. Each time the practitioner chooses to move forward despite the whispers, the spine of the blade thickens. Each time fear is felt fully, yet not allowed to dictate the direction, the metal is strengthened. Brittle fearlessness breaks when real weight is applied. True courage, tempered in darkness, bends but does not break. It carries the memory of past failures, not as chains, but as added weight that makes the blade more effective, more grounded, more difficult to deflect. Justice is the balance of the blade, preventing it from becoming a tool of mere domination or unchecked severity. It requires more than abstract fairness, because fairness, untempered by shadow, becomes cold rigidity. The practitioner extends measured mercy to the monstrous only because they have felt the same monstrous impulse within themselves. This is not weakness or naive optimism. It is the hard-won recognition that the capacity for harm lives in every psyche, stirred by rage, desperation, fear, or pain. Justice forged in this crucible is therefore careful, calibrated, and deeply human. It protects without becoming cruelty itself. It condemns without losing the ability to see the shared darkness that makes monsters of ordinary people. This balance keeps the blade true, preventing it from curving into vengeance or dulling into sentimentality. Temperance is the handle of the blade, providing grip and control when the storm rages. It is not denial or suppression of feeling. The storm is allowed to come. Rage, lust, grief, despair in full force. The body shakes, the mind floods, the emotions threaten to sweep everything away. Temperance is the iron discipline to remain present inside that storm, to feel every surge without being carried off by it, and then, from that centered place, to choose the single action that honors inner sovereignty and long-term character. This is the grip that prevents the blade from flying out of hand. Without it, even the sharpest wisdom and strongest courage become dangerous to the wielder. Temperance, forged in shadow, produces control that is not rigid but responsive, able to hold steady amid chaos, because it is practiced holding steady while chaos rages inside. Every virtue must be tested daily against the practitioner's personal shadow. The shadow does not remain static. It shifts, adapts, finds new disguises. Hidden motives surface in unexpected moments. Suppressed impulses push against restraint. Latent capacities for harm wait for the right combination of pressure and opportunity. The daily test is therefore necessary. It is the repeated return to the crucible, the reheating, the hammering, the quenching. Only virtues that survive this repeated exposure qualify as genuine. Those that fail, revealed as performative, idealized, or too fragile for real conditions, are discarded or reforged. This process is not gentle self-improvement. It is rigorous, often uncomfortable, and absolutely essential if virtue is to be more than decoration. The forging ensures that virtue becomes a hardened, reliable instrument. A world that constantly tempts compromise through fear, desire, exhaustion, or the subtle pull of self-interest cannot be navigated with fragile idealism. The tempered blade cuts through those temptations. It does not bend under pressure or dull from repeated use. It remains effective because it was created under the same conditions it must now face. This reliability is earned, not assumed. It comes from refusing both extremes, refusing to let darkness define the self by surrendering to it, and refusing to pretend the darkness does not exist by denying its presence within. Through this pillar, the individual transforms potential weakness into enduring strength. Weakness acknowledged and engaged becomes the raw material of power. The same impulses that could destroy become the fire that tempers. The practitioner emerges not as someone who has escaped their shadow, but as someone who has incorporated it, making the whole stronger than any sanitized version could ever be. This transformation is not once and done. It is ongoing, a lifelong relationship with the crucible. Each day offers new opportunities for testing, new chances to reheat and reshape. The result is a character that stands resilient precisely because it has been scarred and strengthened by the very forces it confronts. The scars are not hidden or lamented. They are the visible record of the forging process, the proof that the blade has been tested under extreme conditions and has held. This character does not claim invulnerability. It claims durability. It does not seek to avoid darkness. It moves through darkness with a tempered instrument in hand, shaped by that darkness, yet not controlled by it. The resilience is real because it was hard-won. The strength is authentic because it was tested repeatedly against the practitioner's own shadow. Virtue forged in shadow therefore becomes something profound and deeply practical. It is not an abstract ideal to admire from afar. It is a tool carried into every moment of existence, ready for the compromises, pressures, and temptations that arise daily. The practitioner who undertakes this forging does not seek comfort or applause. They seek the kind of character that can face reality, its darkness, its demands, its unrelenting tests, and still choose the path that maintains inner sovereignty. This is the blade. This is the crucible. This is the shadow. And from their repeated interaction comes a form of virtue that is not soft, not brittle, not performative, but real, scarred, balanced, sharp, and enduring. The individual who possesses it does not merely hope to be good. They have become the kind of person who can remain good even when goodness is difficult, because their virtue was forged where goodness is hardest, in the crucible of their own darkness.